Hello, everybody. Rocco Million with Real Progressive. Today I got a special show. I got a special guest, David Frank, who I am about to be bringing on, and we're going to be talking about direct democracy. One second. With David Frank on. He's part of a group, International Direct Democracy, and I thought it would be a good idea for RP, Real Progressives, and myself to do some collaborating with them. And we could share some ideas, about what direct democracy actually is, and then we could also talk about the big question that a lot of people actually use to. Sorry. So, hello everybody, it's Rocco Million. I'm here with Real Progressives. I'm about to be bringing on David Frank. He has a Facebook group called International Direct Democracy, and I figured it would be a really good idea for us to get together and, collaborate and do some collaboration. And is my sound on better? Could you guys hear me now? Okay, great. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring him on and to collaborate and to change some ideas. I definitely want to. I saw a video he had, and I put it it'll be in the comment section after this, but he talks a little bit about an idea he has for direct democracy. It's a channel, a public access channel, or, and then there's also an idea of an app where constituents can go on and they can vote directly on the issues. So I want to bring him on and have him talk a little bit about these different issues. And I also want to get into massive scale civil disobedience as well as MMT. But the main thing is a lot of people, they use these, straw man arguments, to stop progress and to try to derail our, efforts to spread knowledge. So it's good for us to come on and to clear the air and to, put rebuttals out for this kind of stuff. So, just a little bit ago, somebody was trying to say, democracy is dangerous and, mob rule and this and that. And I had to remind them, even though our, democracy right now is rigged, our voting is rigged, and our, government works for the private purpose of capital at society's expense. So our government's fascist. But even still, we socially own our government, and we all have a civic duty to participate in our democracy. So, and if the working class unites in solidarity, we can always stay home one day and watch America grind to a halt. Okay, go back to work the very next day. But having demonstrated our ability to organize and shut shit down, then we can leverage that capability to get our demands met. And, so that's how all, working class gains have been got. The ruling class never just gives us justice. We have to force the issue. And so people have to understand that, number one, our government, Article 1, Section 8, is mandated, to mint and tax for the public purpose, for the general welfare, not for the private purpose of capital. So that means government never needs federal revenues. Government never needs profit. Government makes money at congressional decree, at will, by congressional decree. So, and that destroys the number one capitalist lie that they use to keep us from uniting in solidarity, from forcing our socially owned government to satisfy its constitutional mandate to the general welfare. And so, that's where MMT comes in, because with simple logic of our actual operational reality, we are able to defeat, all these different neoliberal capitalist lies that were designed specifically to keep us from uniting in solidarity. They were designed specifically to keep us accepting pointless austerity that kills just like bullets. When people think that we have to tax the rich before government can spend on society. We accept pointless austerity that kills more than guns and drugs combined. And we do that until government gets its revenue up. But government never needs revenue. It makes dollars at will by congressional decree. That's the whole point. Government's mandated to mint and tax from thin air to provide for the general welfare. So what government needs is real resources. The money part of the equation doesn't matter. That's always infinite. All that matters is we have the real resources available to buy with that money. So with government, it doesn't need money. What it needs is real resources. So it uses taxation to create unemployment so that government can provision society, the general welfare, with real resources using paid employment. It's just a social construct. All right, that's it. It's just a means of production. Dollars are just a law to satisfy tax. We can't run out of laws, so we can't run out of dollars. It's as simple as that. Government always has the exact same purchasing power, infinite, regardless of federal revenues, regardless of the exchange rate, regardless of the markets, foreign or domestic. Our government can always buy anything for sale in dollars. This is very easy, simple logic. And when even Republicans, when they hear this stuff, when they understand their taxes don't fund other people's mistakes, taxes don't fund federal spending. They can't. It's impossible. There's nothing to tax until government first spends dollars into the economy. It would be like starting a game of Monopoly by collecting rents. It's impossible. Money always needs to be issued first. So the simple logic of it is, the simple logic is federal spending funds taxpayers who then pay tax or buy bonds. It's never vice versa at the federal level. It can't be. Simple logic. Okay? The capitalist lie of this trickle-down atrocity, that even Democrats, they act like they're not a part of it, but they're a right-wing organization. Democrats and Republicans are both right-wing neoliberals who put profit over people. Democrats target the middle income distribution. That is still trickle-down economics. That's still voodoo economics. Demand doesn't trickle down. It naturally travels up. Like Ellis Winningham always says, when we guarantee the jobs at a bottom income distribution, because they make up the largest segment of society, the more dollars they have, the more they demand and guarantee the jobs of the skilled and educated above them. It's simple logic, and you destroy the capitalist lie. Okay? They want to act like the free market runs everything and government needs to stay out of the way. There is no free market besides the black market. Only government makes dollars. Okay? And government owned, capitalism only exists in the private sector and only to the point our socially owned government allows. Okay? Our government owns the private sector completely with its ability to impose tax and be the monopoly issuer of the only tax credit, dollars. So, we don't even we can't even own property in America if you want to be technical. Just like communist China, we all rent. We all pay tax. So government is the supreme authority per the Constitution. This is nonpartisan. This is just a fact. Article 1, Section 8 mandates government mint and tax from thin air to provide for the general welfare and common defense thereof, not for the private purpose of capital. Okay, so when we target unemployment, all right, what are we doing? All right, we're giving the capitalist class a buffer stock to wage war on labor with. Okay, this is how they keep wages down since the 70s. All right, while productivity and corporate profits and cost of living are sky high. All right, now if you ask for a raise, your boss can simply say no. They have millions of people outside who will do your job cheaper than you. Okay, that puts downward pressure on all labor wages and working conditions. That's class warfare. All right, that's wage suppression. It's fascism. And both parties have been engaged in it since the 70s. They teamed up to kill the full employment policies of the New Deal. And that starts the neoliberal era, where, we privatize the public space and deregulate everything. Okay. And, we inflict economic and police terror on society. We teach our kids from birth to put profit over people in society. We drug our kids with for-profit medicines like Adderall. That's basically cocaine. All right. Yeah, what could go wrong? Yeah, let's put profit over everything and wonder why no one has any humanity, and wonder why everybody is indifferent to each other's human suffering. Because we've been taught to be indifferent to each other's suffering from birth. We've been conditioned against it. Every time we see homeless people and around the corner we see an empty foreclosed house. You know what? Before I get off on this, where is my guest? I'm sorry about that. Let me see what's going on with my guest. If I could get him. Yeah, he's invited. I don't know if he didn't get it or what's going on. But basically what he was talking about is, having a public access TV was originally meant to be for the public. And, they ended up putting all this bull crap on it that, doesn't have anything to do with anything. And, gets us distracted looking at shiny objects. Well, the horror of pointless austerity goes on, unchecked. You know what I mean? So he wanted to, have public access channel for politics, basically for local politics. And I saw an article, talking about an app where, a person can have an app that their constituents can then get on and vote on each issue. And then, then you have a blueprint to which to hold your candidate, feet to the fire. You can simply say, look, these are what we want done. And, give us, and if you don't give us it, then you're out. It's black and white. There is no middle area, like they have right now. They have so much wiggle room. But, the fact is, yeah, our elections, they are rigged. Congress has a worse approval rating than herpes. Yet they get reelected over 90% of the time. I mean, that alone tells the whole story. But, not just that, the DNC admitted in open court that their own elections, that they rig their own elections. They have a First Amendment right, they said. The DNC, the DNC admitted in open court that their own members have no right to democratically choose who wins their own elections. Yeah, I was a right-winger though, Rob. I used to be. I mean, shit, we're all young kids at some point. We don't, nobody wakes up, knowing everything, I'm fortunate enough to where I was humbled early, so I'm able to see both sides, you know what I mean? I was on both sides of the issue. And, so I can understand, a lot of people that never had to experience certain things, they don't understand it. And they might think, because they always had privilege, they always had family, they always had safety nets, they assume everybody else does too, and until people start to experience, we're all really just one mistake away, through the grace of God, any of us, tomorrow wake up, we lose our job and it just spirals out of control from there. That's why they call us the precarious class, because our very existence is precarious. Labor itself is unstable, so that's the whole point. That's why they target unemployment, because if you're always worried about, getting fired and being out, in the street, then you're more willing to accept discriminatory business practices. You're more willing to accept starvation wages. You're more willing to accept, all the bull, the exploitation, so, we have to recognize these things. And really, this is where MMT comes in. Again, because it describes our operational reality, our macroeconomic reality in a nonpartisan, scientific way, all right, from the macro level. You know what I mean? And it makes some, points very clear. For instance, when the government spends dollars into existence, those dollars are the liability of the government. All right, government's promising to accept them back to extinguish our tax obligations. So those dollars are the government's debt. All right, and those dollars are simultaneously our asset in the non-government because they extinguish our tax obligations. So that's double entry accounting for the debt of the government is our asset in the non-government. Okay, and that's a scientific fact, and it's nonpartisan. It doesn't matter what you believe, what ideology you come from. That's a fact. And government, in fact, uses debt instruments to drive real resources to itself so it could satisfy the general welfare of society. Government will use taxation to create unemployment so that it can, get roads for society. It could get labor for military. It can get education. It could get all these things for society. So even when a Republican understands this stuff, they start to see, well, public debt for society and a higher standard of living is the entire point of dollars in government to begin with. Right? There is no other point, Government, Ellis Winningham, another great quote Ellis Winningham says, our socially owned government is supposed to work for the public purpose and let individuals make what they can from that. Our government should never work for the private purpose of individuals and for society to make do with the scraps. Again, that's fascism. A big part of fascism is the suppression of labor and the empowerment of corporations and capitalists. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't look like David Frank is going to be able to join us. I don't see anything from him. If you're watching, David, log out and then log back in, and you should see an invite from me, or at the very least, at the bottom by the heart reaction, you will see a white button. You just push that and send me in, and try to get on that way. And so, and then people will naturally, they'll bring up at this point, they'll say, well, what good is all of this information? Our government doesn't work for us. It works for the capitalist class, like you just said. Our elections are rigged. So, we have no control. We have no power. And I say bullshit. That's what they want us to believe. The reality is the opposite, and it always was. The majority always has the power. It's simple logic. All right. Without us working, there is no society. All right. So massive scale civil disobedience, no matter how unlikely, it is a fact. If the working class unites in solidarity, we can stay home from work for one day and watch America grind to a halt. Go back to work the very next day. So it's low risk, high reward. Pretty much everyone can miss a day of work. All right. We can't afford not to do this. People have to survive on the black market as it is with starvation wage jobs. So, we go back to work the very next day, but now we demonstrated our ability to organize and shut shit down. So now we can leverage that ability to get our demands met. And what are our demands? Simple. We force our socially owned government to satisfy its constitutional mandate to the general welfare. In plain terms, that means to balance the economy. All right? Balance the economy and society in a sustainable green way. And the only way you could balance a capitalist, consumer-driven economy is by spending at the bottom. Like I was saying earlier, demand travels up, it doesn't trickle down. You spend at the bottom and you maximize the velocity of money. All right, because the propensity to spend dollars at the bottom is very high, almost 1-to-1. All right, because people have immediate needs on the bottom. As soon as they get money, they spend it. And when you spend at the top, people had money all along. So, they don't have too many needs right away. Give them $100, it's no big deal. They put it into savings. Of course, spending at the bottom is going to stimulate the economy a lot more. All right, it's going to add demand. And when you add demand, then businesses can expand. Right now, people, the right-wing talking point is that the rich are the job creators. It's bullshit. The rich can't create permanent jobs, only temporary jobs. The rich could invest all they want into a business. They could make the very best product in the world. If they can't sell their products, they're going to go out of business every single time, because only a balanced macro economy can provide the necessary sales for growth. It's that simple. So, and that's government's job. Again, the government is mandated by the Constitution to provide for the general welfare. Not business, not the capitalist class. It's government. We're guaranteed government for, of, and by the people. That's democratically, socially owned government for the general welfare. That's socialism. And it's baked right into the Constitution before socialism was even a word. This is operational reality. It's just facts. All right. Anybody that thinks that it's our government's job to work for 1% of the population at the expense of the 99%, they're not working with a full deck of cards. I don't know what to tell you. But, and again, that was me at one point when I was a young kid in the Navy. That's how they get us with this propaganda. First of all, we're spoon fed with this stuff from birth. All right. This Kelvinism, where, if you're poor, it's because you're just being lazy. Never mind the fact that we intentionally target 5% unemployment. Never mind the fact we intentionally create systemic poverty. Yeah, never mind the fact that we create second-class citizens by criminalizing peaceful behavior in nature through the drug war. Never mind all of these other facts. You know what I mean? Never mind the fact that we're neglecting our infrastructure to the point where people are being poisoned by food, water, and air. All right? They don't want you to look at that. You'll hear all these horror stories about socialism, but we don't hear about Flint, Michigan. We don't hear about, all these horror stories of capitalism. Let's get real here. When you put profit over people in society, you're asking for trouble. Of course, you're going to have a society that doesn't value human life. You're going to get a society that's indifferent to human suffering. This is the stuff that Nazi Germany is made of. Austerity. You make people starving and worried about their employment and how they're going to survive. They're going to look for scapegoats. They're going to think that if we help the blacks, then that means I'm going to get less. If we help women, that means I'm going to get less. Because we only have so many dollars, No, the fact is dollars are infinite. All right. It's real resources that is what constrains us. And we have plenty of real resources. All right. We can afford all of these different things. Let's look at single payer healthcare. We have the real resources to give everybody top-notch healthcare. We already cover everybody through the ER, but it's just a lot less efficient, a lot less humane, a lot more expensive. The fact is we pay more than just about everybody in the world, and we get less in terms of healthcare. So single payer would in fact be deflationary. Okay? It would cost us less and we'd get better results. Are you kidding me? But yet our government is working to make the capitalist class profit. So we have for-profit medicine. Government doesn't need that profit. Government doesn't need even revenue. All right. So why on earth would government insist on making everything for profit? It's because they are working for the capitalist class at our expense. And it's right in front of our eyes, and they got us to agree with it. That's the point. They get us to accept this pointless austerity that kills just like bullets. That's the whole thing. All right. They get us to agree with their craziness. I learned in college about us targeting 5% unemployment. And, they used, I remember the argument kind of vaguely. It was like, it's so people could switch jobs and, this and that and go back. Well, that doesn't even make sense. There has to be millions of people unemployed and millions more underemployed so people could switch jobs. That doesn't even make sense. It's definitely, Barbara, it's definitely divide and conquer. Our simple reality, our simple operational reality, the logic of MMT destroys all of these myths. People want to talk about inflation. And I talk about, well, that's only a problem when demand outstrips supply. And a lot of people don't get it. They, especially people where I'm from are from the streets, and we get by, we're gritty, we're not educated per se. So I have to put it in their terms. And like, if you're the only person in town with a supply of marijuana and you're selling it, okay, and everybody wants it, so demand is outstripping your supply. So now you could raise prices and still, people are going to want it. So that's inflation in a nutshell. Now, if somebody else moves into town with a supply of weed, then your supply increases, and that controls the inflation. Now I can't charge what I want. People could just go next door. So, to control inflation, all you do is you increase supply, or you tax extra demand. All right. Or you sell bonds to extract extra demand. All right. And now, we can increase our supply. If we have unemployment, that means we have untapped productive capacity. So we can increase our supply of just about any real resource we need for the general welfare of society. So let's say we need apples. Okay. We can train apple pickers. We can plant apple trees. We could do whatever we need. If we need construction workers, I'm sure there's lots of construction workers that are unemployed. Plus we could train more. All right. We can, we can do that. We have to utilize all of our resources. We have to have a federally guaranteed living wage job for every single person who wants one, and get to doing all this work that our communities need around America. Our communities are crumbling. They're starved of human resources. They're starved of infrastructure resources. So we have untapped productive capacity. That's artificial scarcity. Again, that's austerity that kills more than bullets, more than guns and drugs combined. Where are the marches against pointless austerity? That's why it's so important that we counter the MSM narratives, because you're not going to hear about austerity on CNN. You're not going to hear about it on Fox. You know what I mean? You will hear about it on Real Progressives. That's a goddamn fact. All right. And, and I don't care if I sound like a broken record, it's for a reason. It's because we all have cognitive dissonance to these ideas. We were all brainwashed that somehow, things will be worse. Let's worry about inflation tomorrow. Well, millions died today and pointlessly suffered today of austerity. All right. The fact of the matter is inflation isn't even on our radar. All right. Our problem is deflation. Again, our wages have been stagnant since the 70s. Well, productivity and corporate profits and cost of living are at record highs. Okay. That's what we should be worried about. That diminishes labor's purchasing power. Okay. That transfers a bigger share of GDP to the 1%. That's the problem, not inflation. Not non-existent inflation tomorrow. The fact is we target inflation. All right. That's why, because it's easier to deal with. And we want, wages to steadily go up. That's a good thing, And the fact is, even with the trillions of dollars we spent on bailouts and trillions in endless wars and trillions in corporate welfare, we still haven't been able to hit our inflation target rate. A big part of that is, and people don't get this, it's our trade deficit, right? We're able to increase our finite real resources with infinite dollars from, you know what I mean? We buy the real resources from the whole world with our infinite dollars. So that again, we're increasing supply. If demand happens if inflation happens when demand outstrips supply, if we're able to increase our supply buying the world's goods with our infinite dollars, ding, you understand? That's it. That's a pretty good way, to avoid inflation. Our trade deficit is not a bad thing in any type of way. Our government just has to respond properly. And what that means is our government has to replace the dollars lost to that foreign leakage. If we're buying products from China, we're losing those dollars. All right, so government has to resupply that foreign leakage, as well as other leakages in the economy. Tax leakages, savings leakages, that's the whole thing. Government is constantly needing to spend more in and then get more economic output out. And then you take out the dollar, destroy it. And then the dollar served its purpose. It's a closed circuit. You spend the money in, you get economic output, you destroy the dollar. And then you start it over again. You spend new dollars back in. All federal spending is brand new dollars created by congressional decree from thin air. That's all federal spending. So Social Security, it doesn't come from that trust fund, that FICA trust fund, that trust fund. All federal spending is, oh, wait a minute. I think he's here now. Hold on. Here we go. David is going to be joining us. Now, we only got a little bit, but let's see. It says it's adding right now. Well, what we're doing to get organized while we're waiting for David, it says it's adding them. What we're doing is, first of all, we have to educate ourselves about our operational reality. Like I said, MMT. This destroys the neoliberal narratives that they use to keep us divided. So, after we learn that, then we have to teach it. There's no sexy way. But then after we get a critical mass of people, millions of people. Can you imagine 3 million people occupying Congress? How would they be stopped? There wouldn't be enough. Hey, David, Frank, how are you?
Hey, Rocco, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened. My phone wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, apparently.
Yeah, sometimes Facebook has a way of doing that to us. Sometimes we might think it's our fault, but it's really Facebook censoring us. Sometimes I can't even get a guest on. I've had
try and
that
turn
problem.
it this way. I guess I got to turn it this way. Okay, I'm sorry. Hey,
Yeah,
good to be with you. And I was able to listen to you, and you're doing a great job at educating people on what's really going on in the community and the country. And thank you. Keep fighting.
Thank you very much. And I was telling our RP family, about your organization, International Direct Democracy, is one of your Facebook groups, and some of the ideas you had about a public access channel for direct democracy. Can you tell us a little bit about your ideas on that?
Yeah, our group is called One Voice Now, and the goal is to use 21st century communication technology to give everybody one voice now. We realize that the people in Washington are not going to fix America. They're the ones that have screwed it up. They've stolen us blind. We're broke. It's because of them. And the people in state capitals are not going to fix America. They've stolen us blind, and, they've caused us to be broken. The local politicians aren't going to do it either. They're all scamming, and they're using the tax money that they do have locally to feed their political cronies. So it's all a scam. I mean, I think we're all waking up to that fact. Nothing works anymore. Education is a mess. The infrastructure is falling apart. People can't afford health care. it's America has a lot of problems, but the reality is that the politicians can't fix it. They've sold their souls to the lobbyists representing the special interests, and you only bribe a judge, a juror, or a politician to make terrible decisions, wrong decisions. And once again, that's why nothing works. And we need a plan in America. We've got to take America back. We can't keep doing this. You know, I don't know how old you are. You don't look very old, but you know, my generation can't leave this country in this shape for your generation, and you can't do the same for your offspring. And so what we've got to do is we've got to come up with a better plan. You know, they did what they could back in the 1700s. They tried to build a system where decisions on issues affecting our lives were made of the people, by the people, and for the people. Obviously, that's not happening. You know, 545 people in Washington, D.C. do not represent 320 million people. And I'm in Indiana, 150 in the state capitol don't represent 6 million. And the 9 goofballs on the city council don't represent, we have 267,000. So we have no representation, we have no voice, but we do have technology, and which is totally amazing. If we didn't, we'd all be revolted. We'd have what's called a revolution, and we'd start fighting and killing each other, and you know, that doesn't work. But the bottom line is this: we need a plan. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail. We have the communication technology today that our founders didn't have. They couldn't have even dreamt about a TV, a touch-tone phone, or a computer, and we have those things today. So what we're doing with One Voice now is we're trying to get a new system out for America. And you can call it 21st century democracy. You can call it bringing our republic into the 21st century. We call it One Voice now because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants one voice right now. So this is the plan, and I hope your viewers really help us get this out, because if everybody starts focusing on one thing, you know, right now, I've been an activist for 30 years, and over 30 years, I've found out that everybody has an issue. You know, there are people that care about the education system. There are people that care about chemtrails, MGOs, the broken judicial system, the broken penal system, whatever it is. Everybody cares about an issue. But we can no longer rely on the politicians to resolve these issues. We have to rely on what our founders told us to rely on, we the people. And this is what we're going to do. And I hope your listeners really help us, because it looks like we've got at least 46 people watching right now. And those people all know hundreds, if not thousands of people. And if we all take just one simple plan and share it, and the plan is One Voice Now, this is what we're going to do. Most people don't realize that back in 1960, public broadcasting started. And public broadcasting, people were real excited when it started because people thought, wow, we're going to have a station that actually broadcasts the public. Wrong. That didn't happen. The federal government started funding it right away to make sure it wasn't used to broadcast the public. Instead, it was used for antique roadshow and cartoons and 60s music, silly bullshit like that. What we've got to do is we've got to demand, community by community. There are several hundred public broadcasting stations across the country. So everyone has access to public broadcasting, and it's owned by we the people. It's not owned by Ted Turner or the Murdoch or any of these people. It's owned by we the people. And what we've got to do is we've got to stand up community by community and demand, as a community, as a coalition of people, where we want a voice. And the plan to give everyone a voice is this. We want to change the format of our local public broadcasting stations to our local issues TV, radio, and internet channel, so that people in each community, let's quit waiting for Washington and Donald Trump and Barack Obama and all these other goofballs to fix America. They are not going to fix America. They have been paid to make sure that America doesn't get fixed. So what we're going to do is community by community, we're going to use our local public broadcasting station as our local issues TV, radio, and internet channel People in your community are going to start presenting ideas directly to the community for fixing your education system, for fixing your environment, for fixing your healthcare system. Whatever it is, people in your community will present their ideas right over the airwaves, the TV, the radio, and the internet. They'll present it to the community. We'll debate these ideas because we want people to be educated on these different ideas before they vote on them. And remember, we're voting on American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, CNN, Fox. We're voting on all these silly things. Now it's time to start voting on building the kind of community, our piece of America, that we want for ourselves and future generations. So you'll present your ideas right to the community, we'll debate them, and then people will be able to vote with any touch-tone phone. All you'll do is call a local number. It'll go into a community database. It will have your ID number and PIN number. It will ask you what issue number you'd like to vote on. Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, count your vote, block you out from voting more than once, and we can now have decisions in a 21st century way of the people, by the people, and for the people. And don't forget, our founders expected this system to break down because really all republics sooner or later fail. But they gave us not only the Constitution, which was a blueprint for what we have now, but they also gave us the Declaration of Independence. And in the Declaration of Independence, they told us that it's not only our right, but our duty to change the system when it gets this bad. And right now, they had a revolution over a 4-cent a pound tax on tea. Right now, we are paying the politicians roughly 60 cents on every dollar, which means we're now working more for the federal, state, and local government than we work for ourselves. And that's slavery, my man. That's slavery. That's the New World Order, New World Plantation.
Who do you see? I see one of our people, Mark Fabian, has a question. Who would be the people starting these stations? Could it be anybody? Could I just go and get access to public TV or what?
What you want to do, there are people in communities around the country that care about the situation in America. If you aren't scared today, you're just stupid. Okay? I mean, we're looking at World War III. We're looking at a lot of poor people out here that are desperate, that are going to kick somebody's ass sooner or later because they're going to want to eat. So we can't keep doing this, obviously. But what we need to do is realize that the way to fix America is not from the top down, it's from the ground up, community by community.
And I'd like to go a step further. Go ahead. I'd like to go a step further, and we got to recognize that, like you were saying, we're so divided right now with different issues. We got to understand that economics is the uniter, because every problem in society has its roots in economics, and it has its macroeconomic solutions. So, that's where, when we're talking about gun violence, this is where we have an ability to interject root solutions, because if I like to say, if we focus just on feel-good policies that don't affect the underlying problems, then what are we doing? We're wasting political capital, we're wasting our people power. But if we go ahead and we parlay public outrage over guns, we'll say, for instance, we can talk about a root issue and a root solution being the federal job guarantee. When everybody has a job, when everybody has hope, that's how you fight systemic hopelessness. That's how you fight our government radicalizing people to begin with. And so, but I want to get back to the public format. Have you seen that about the app that there's a congressman talking about an app specifically for his constituents that they can get on and vote on specific issues? Or are you strictly talking about a public access TV?
Public broadcasting. We're talking about public broadcasting. And we're talking about public broadcasting, but the idea of the app will happen too, because we're going to be not only watching issues over the TV, but we're going to listen to them over the radio and over the internet. So the app will be absolutely wonderful. And but what we've got to do is we've got to get the main tools in our community up and running. And all that entails is standing up as a community. We have to remember, think of Martin Luther King. He stood up he had a movement, and that's what we need. We need a movement, and our movement should be called One Voice Now. That's what we all want, One Voice Now. Everybody's got different issues, but we all want the same bottom line. The bottom line is I want a voice on the issue that I'm concerned with. And that's what this tool does. We cannot do anything without tools. Without tools, we'd be cavemen today. And we have the most amazing tool. I mean, look at this, Rocco. You and I've never met you before. You have a broadcasting station in your hand. I have one in my hand. Your viewers are, we're reaching out to, we have 45 viewers, but we can do the same thing community by community, where instead of just, 45 people watching these different programs, we've got hundreds of thousands of people watching them and interreacting with them, because when they see an issue or an idea in their community that they'd like to vote on, all they do is call a local number or an app, and we'll have an app too, community by community.
And even I want to make sure people understand, even if the actual process, isn't official, if we have a benchmark that, people know what the majority wants, then we can hold our officials accountable regardless, even if the elections are rigged. Okay, if our little thing, this is a tool to unite the people. It doesn't have to be an official thing. Once we all know what we're united behind, once we all know what issues we're supporting, if they don't happen, we hold government accountable. And then that's where massive scale civil disobedience may even have to come in, where we stay home from work. But
look, okay, you're absolutely right, but you can't have accountability without transparency. And what we are building is the tool to provide transparency, to make sure that your community really knows what's going on in your community. And the politicians hate what I do. I mean, for 30 years now, I've been going to the politicians. They hate this. This is like this. What I'm saying to them is like a cross to a vampire. They absolutely hate this, because what they're afraid of is they're going to, first of all, like if you're talking about a congressman, you're talking about $17,000 a month to work 100 days out of the year. You talk about winning a lottery. I mean, these guys are laughing all the way to the bank. Then you got these people in downstate, they've got all of your sales tax money. They got all of your license plate money. They got all that money. So they're playing their scam down in your state capital. And then you got the 7 to 9 people on the city council and the mayor. They take whatever tax money you have here, and they get into these bogus real estate scams, and they launder your money. So there's no money for your community. All the community is doing is paying. That's all they're doing. Paying. We got the wheel tax here. They put it in, 10 years ago. Our roads are worse than ever before. They haven't filled in it. That money was all scammed. And it's happening in every community. But that's why they hate this, because what this is it's the tool in your community to say, no, you're not going to do this anymore. In fact, the Constitution calls those 9 people on the city council representatives. They aren't leaders. They are representatives. And the reason they're called representatives was they were supposed to get on their horses and come out to our fields and ask us, bring us up to date on the different issues, get our opinion, get back on their horse and ride back downtown or to the state capitol or to Washington, D.C. Hey, I'm almost 70 years old. They've never come to me. So I have no representation. I have no voice. And your viewers don't either. But if we stand up with a better plan, and the plan is One Voice Now, it's very simple. onevoicenow.org is where the website's at. Just go to it, look at it. It's very simple. Everybody's griping today, Rocco. Everybody's griping. We're griping about the war. We're griping about the infrastructure. We're griping about everything. But unless you have a better plan, all you're doing is griping. You're bitching. And what we need is a better plan. And what One Voice Now is a better plan. And if everybody gets busy and uses this social media to go, hey, I'm going to take one voice now to all my friends, you know, and share it.
We only got about 10 minutes left. Joe Firestone's coming on with a very important interview of a Democratic candidate taking on neoliberal Dianne Feinstein. So I want to make sure the decks are cleared for him. But I wanted to say, you know, if we could force our government to do we could always unite in solidarity and force our socially owned government to satisfy its constitutional mandate to the general welfare. Now, all we have to do is understand what's possible, because, you know, we all know that things like what Bernie Sanders wants is a good thing. I think it was a winner, but when people think that their taxes got to go up to pay for a better society, that's when we get heavy pushback. So do you understand MMT, and does One Voice Now, does it reflect our operational reality? When I say that, what I mean is the number one thing is we want to separate the tax fight from the spending fight. We need government to spend on society today, and we don't need federal revenues to do that. We don't need to cut defense to do that. We need straight spending bills today to save lives. So, you know, I like to, you know, ask the question, do you understand that do you understand MMT? Have you heard of that?
Tell me what MMT stands for.
MMT is modern monetary theory. It's a new way. Well, not a new way. We've got onto the gold standard for a short period of time in America, and we forgot how state money works. And so the modern monetary theory is rediscovering what money actually is and the role it plays in society. And
we don't need Federal Reserve notes any longer. We don't need to rent our money from the Federal Reserve any longer.
See, that's the thing. We don't rent money from the Federal Reserve. Only Congress can spend money into existence, and it does that with the power from the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8 grants only Congress can mint and tax to provide for the general welfare. Now, we do that through spending bills, and these spending bills are instructions for the Federal Reserve and the Treasury to spend appropriations into existence. What we pay interest on is the government debt, the bonds that we offset deficits with. And that's obsolete practice because we're no longer on the gold standard. When we were on the gold standard, if you increase the money supply without the gold that backed it, each dollar is worth less gold. But now we're not on the gold standard, so dollars don't have any intrinsic value to lose. So we can't even devalue our dollar unless we lose the ability to tax. $1 is always equal to one tax credit. So what that means is government isn't revenue constrained. Government doesn't need profit. Government makes dollars at will by congressional decree for the general welfare. Government uses taxation to create unemployment so it can provision society with real resources like roads, labor for military, infrastructure, legal system, sanitation, all of this stuff that it needs for the general welfare. And it gets those real resources using paid employment. So it's a social construct. Dollars are just a law to satisfy a tax. We can't run out of laws, so we can't run out of dollars. It's the real resources that we need. I like to say it real quick like this. Money part of the equation doesn't matter. That's always infinite. All that matters is we have the real resources available to buy with that money. And so the most important thing is not the national debt don't even matter. That's our savings. The real national debt is the lack of investment we make into sustainable energy, the lack of investment we make into top-notch education, top-notch healthcare, because smart, healthy kids are productive people. You know, that we have to constantly invest and maintain the general welfare, the productive capability of our nation. And so when we're talking about single payer or any program, if we have the real resources to meet the demand for that program, we can always afford that program without raising taxes or making cuts, and it'll always be non-inflationary. So We don't need to raise taxes to get single payer. And if we were to want to add a tax in, that just puts an extra fight in front of saving lives, in front of our progressive policy agenda, if you will. And so I like to make sure that this part is absolutely clear. And if you want, you can, afterwards, I'll work with you and send you some links, academic links, people like Dr. Stephanie Kelton, Dr. Bill Mitchell, Ellis Winningham, Dr. Joe Firestone, you know, a lot, Dr. Fidel Kaboub, a lot of people that I can put you in contact with to understand this. Because if we're going to have one platform like you're talking about, or what's the name of it again? One Voice Now? We need to all be on the same page with in regards to our operational reality. Because like we saw with Bernie Sanders, we all loved his goals. But because he never explained our operational reality, people, they saw that his campaign called for 33 trillion in spending, but only 19 trillion in taxes. And so he got the moniker Crazy Bernie, and it stuck. So he should have empowered his economic advisors, Dr. Stephanie Kelton and Bill Black, to explain this stuff, because it's simple logic. Taxes can't fund spending. There's nothing to tax until government first spends dollars into existence. It would be like starting a monopoly game by collecting rents. It's impossible. Money always needs issued first. So you want to respond to that? Before we go, we got about 4 minutes, and you could wrap it up here. You could close here.
Yeah, you know, I agree with a lot of what you say, but the old financial system has to go. You know, we don't need pieces of paper to transfer 1, 5, and 10s and 20s any longer. We now do that electronically, and it can be so simple.
MMT is the system.
Yeah, the whole thing can be very, very simple once the people have a voice. But see, you said the key word, what we have to do. We can't rely on them to do that. They've been paid to make bad decisions. What we've got to do is hook up the communication tools, community by community, which is what One Voice Now is. It's onevoicenow.org. Go to the website. Be in touch with me if you have any questions. We can do this. I mean, you know, we're going around the world promoting this thing called democracy. This is 21st century direct democracy. This is what it is.
Guys,
the people raise the issues.
Guys, I'm going to help him. I'm going to help him learn. I'm going to go to the site. So don't worry. He's obviously receptive. So, you know, I see some comments talking about you don't understand it yet, but, you know, no one understands everything until they do. You know what I mean? So you're receptive. Your platform is good. Your message is good. I like it. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Thanks, Rocco. Well, good to be with you, and let's do this again. And next time I won't screw up and take so long getting on, but I hope all of your guests go to onevoicenow.org, and please just share the hell out of it. Share the hell out of it. And it's not about Dave Frank. It's about all of you having an equal voice.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy. Take it easy. God bless.
Thank you, Rocco. You too.